Oofda. Love that. Good Norwegian saying. Actually, my daughter is mugged because as a little girl, she would always say oofda, which out of a cute little redhead, it was always fascinating seeing her say that. I wish my grandfather had been alive when she was born because it was so cute seeing her say it. And he was a very, very Norwegian, and so he would have gotten a big kick out of it. But we don't care about that. We're working on supersizing our business. And today is day 19. We're talking about optimizing. You have a sip of water? Now, what do we mean by optimizing? Yesterday we talked about and we wrote down, I talked, hopefully you wrote down. I wrote down because I'm going through this right with you. I wrote down about the process that I'm going through is getting clients and getting new customers into my consulting firm. And I wrote down my process step by step by step. That's the first part. Now today what we're going to do is we're going to look at that process that we wrote down and we're going to find ways to make it better, optimize. We know what optimize means. Think Optimus Prime from, what the heck is that show? Transformers. I'm not a big movie. I like movies, but I don't see a lot of them anymore. But optimize. We want to optimize that process. Now that we've written it down, and I'm sure as you were writing yours down, just like I was like surprised at some of the steps that I found that were redundant. I did more than one step or something more than once that I didn't really need to do. I found holes in the process, things that I wasn't doing that, holy man, I sure need to be doing and I need to be adding on a, and then I found characteristics about the process that I'm missing out on. Let me just give you a couple of examples from mine so that you know what I'm talking about. And we want to look at the process and say, what can make this process work better in terms of the result we're trying to get from this process? Now, the process I'm looking at through this run through the Supersize Your Business challenge is how I go about getting clients and customers to my business. Because all of us need more customers to our business, right? We pretty much always need customers in our business. That's why businesses exist, is because we are providing some good or service to a customer that makes their life better, and in return they are exchanging usually their money for our product or service. So as I was going through my process and documenting my process of how I get customers to come into my business, to come into my world, to come into my personal business, I do that in several different ways. But I thought for this example and to talk about today, I'm just going to talk about one way. So one way that I get customers coming to me is through social media and creating content. Not really social media. I do that too, but let's do creating content. Every single day, I hop on social media or Facebook Live and I create content. Number one, because it's a fast, easy, and effective way for me to create content. As part of that content creation process, which is the process I went through and documented, and that's the one I'll talk about through these days, because that's a clear one for people to understand. Now, you may or may not be producing content to promote and supersize your business. I am going to say right now in your face, if you're not, that is a big hole in your customer getting process. Content creation and getting out there, getting the word of your business out there is critical to the success of your business in the first place and to any hope of supersizing your business. You got to be putting value out into the world, especially for your customers, or they're not going to know about you. And if nobody knows about you, your business isn't going to last very long, much less be able to supersize it. So as I was looking through that process that I'd written down, and I should have it in front of me, but of course I don't, it's by my desk, there were a few things that really stood out. Number one, there's redundancy in my content creation. I create 4 or 5 pieces of content every single morning in the terms of video. And I need to rethink that and ask myself, is that necessary? Do I really need 5 pieces of content every single day to be produced? Now, sometimes I'm going to say yes to myself on that. Other times I'm going to say, probably that's overkill and way too much. Right now, I'm in a building mode with my personal business and what I'm trying to do with my branding and who I am. And so I think it's okay to have that much redundancy and be doing that much and putting that much out. But I don't think that would probably be okay all the time. But for right now, even though there's some redundancy in there, I think it's okay. Now, when I look at what's missing and where the holes are in that process, I find several things. Number one, let's start at the beginning. Number one, the branding and the consistency across the board is definitely missing. I have not made decisions about my branding that are consistent. My colors, my intros and outros, I have none. I've been doing my podcast since the end of February, and I still don't have an intro and an outro on it. That, from a content creation standpoint, I've known all along I need that. I just haven't made it a priority. So that is a hole in that attracting customers process. Because of the next thing, there's no call to action. I would say I'm 90+% of every piece of content that I create that is supposed to bring people into my world. There is no call to action. There's no intro, and by having no outro, there's no call to action on anything. And then I don't even put a call to action when it's sent to social media. Huge hole. Now, I like to think that people will just push my name and find me and then contact me, but let's be honest, that doesn't happen. I don't want to say people are lazy. I want to say we're all busy and overwhelmed. So if it's not easy for us to do something, super like brain dead easy, we're not going to do it. I am as guilty of that as the next person. We just don't have the time. There's too many things pulling on us in 1,000 different directions for us to do anything that's super complicated. Unless, of course, it's something that we really, really want. Then we'll jump through amazing hoops to get what we really want, right? So calls to action, consistency about intros and outros. Every one of my videos just about starts differently. Every one of my videos just about ends differently and doesn't have a call to action. So those are just two glaring, blaring things in my stuff that I know I need to fix. And I need to fix sooner rather than later. Yeah, so no greeting, no sign off. I'm even redundant in what I put on my card about what's redundant and what's missing in my optimization. So today, and the other thing I do, and that I have done in the past that works really, really well, remember I talked about being in order for your business to go through the process of how you do something? When I want to optimize, I do that backwards. I go through the process backwards, and that shows me exactly where I'm missing things. It just gives me another perspective. It's another way of looking at things. So forwards to define the process and write it down, backwards through the process to find the holes and the gaps and where I want to optimize. So your assignment today is, your action step today is to optimize the process that you wrote down yesterday. Look at it, look like I did for where are the holes, what's missing, and what am I doing that I don't need to do because I'm doing it more than once, or I'm repeating myself on a process or a step, or I have unnecessary steps in there that I just don't need to do. So that's it. Go out and make it a fantastic day. Hey, Chad, and I will see you tomorrow with the next step in supersizing your business.